Hello, hello. Welcome to the Becoming Natalie Dance Raw on Authentically Me video series. I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I am in Ibiza and I have decided to record a video. Obviously, you've seen the title. I haven't actually titled it yet, but you've seen the title. And this is about me sharing with you how I fell in love with my body, how I finally learned to accept my body for what it is now, which actually has transformed my body. And I'm going to be sharing the painful journey to me being able to get here. And funnily enough, I'm sure you probably all know by now, I had to fall in love with myself to finally learn to accept the way that I looked, to accept my body for what it was. And obviously, if you know about manifesting, accepting where you are, the art of letting go, detaching, it's all the same thing, was what I needed to do to finally accept myself just the way I was then. And yeah, wasn't the easiest of journeys. So today's video is for anybody that struggles with forms of body dysmorphia, forms of eating issues, forms of self-loathing, the way that they look, crazy hair day. And I'm trying to think where to start. Well, I know where it started from. And it was from a place of just not feeling good enough, not feeling enough as a child. And having somebody in your family so close to you, or, you know, we're designed to programmed to believe that the ones that are supposed to love you the most are supposed to accept you fully for your full self, for who you truly are. But that wasn't my case, for sure. That wasn't the case for a lot of people. I'm not the only one in the world that's had issues with their body and had issues with eating problems too. So I'd already had a childhood kind of traumas of not feeling good enough anyway, which is why the one thing that did make me happy was eating. I used to get really excited about having my Cocoa Pops for breakfast, and my mum's home cooked dinners were amazing. And when I look back, it was one of the most things that, on top of, you know, dressing up, being somebody else but me. And that's what I would do when I would dress up in my mum's clothes or in play clothes, fancy dress, that type of thing. I would make pretending that I was always somebody else. So that was another thing that I was happiest in, make pretending that I was something other than who I was. I mean, I can't remember whether I've shared this or not on any of these videos, but I couldn't even stand my name. No, I couldn't. I've been born a Sarah or a Tracy or a Sharon, something other than Natalie. And it's a bit windy here again, guys, so I'm kind of just pacing a little bit as I share this video with you, although I might just sit down for a second. Hopefully the wind will stop and sit down for a bit. But yeah, I I just wanted to be anybody else but me. And so the enjoyment that I had, the one thing that I really enjoyed, obviously, except for dressing up and pretending to be somebody else, something else, you know, Cinderella, Snow White, Barbie, Cindy, playing with my dollies and things like that. The only other enjoyment was food. So I already had this story of not feeling good enough anyway, not feeling wanted, not feeling accepted. And I can visualize my past and seeing things from my programmed mind, although it's not programmed now. Obviously, we're constantly releasing the program. But I just loved my food so much. And so I was a chunky little girl. And I was caught eating the topping of a lemon meringue pie that my mum had made after we'd already had our dinner and our dessert. And somebody in my family calling me a fat cow. No wonder I was such a fat cow. Well, I then went on to, about 10 years old, I started going on diets. And I started to observe what other girls looked like. And there were certain clothes, because I was a little bit chunky, that I couldn't wear. And we used to have a Tammy girl in the UK, or ETAM, and it was Tammy girl was for the younger girls. And I couldn't wear their clothes because they didn't do them big enough. So I had to wear clothes from not so kind of trendy places. So I guess I felt like I didn't really fit in and always wanted to fit in. I always wanted to, after that, when I had the awareness of what I then looked like, I always wanted to fit in. I always wanted to look like the others, be like the others, you know. And as I was getting older, you know, these other girls were so tiny, and you know, they'd be asked out by the boys, and they'd always have a boyfriend, and I was always the one that was the odd one out, the one that didn't get asked out, the one that had the name calling. And yeah, about 10 years old, I started dieting. I started doing slim fast. And yeah, I wouldn't want to eat certain things. And that then led into having a horrendous eating disorder. I used to have really horrendous bulimia, or I would starve myself. And that, obviously, I lost a lot of weight from doing that. But it's such a destructive disorder. You know, and I remember just so many times when I would eat, and then for whatever reason, I couldn't throw up. I couldn't be sick. I just couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. And I just feel dreadful. I would feel disgusting, even more disgusting, because then I had this food in me that I couldn't do anything with. Oh, it was awful. Just wanted to hide away from everyone and everything. I used to get in such a state. And that went on for a very, 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 very long time, to the extent where it was all encompassing in my marriage. And it came down to the fact that I thought that being thin meant that I would then be loved. Being thin, I thought that then I would be able to be accepted. But what I was actually doing is through the eating and purging, I was blocking the thoughts of self-loathing. And it was just an everyday battle. You know, one day a dress would fit, the next day it wouldn't. One day a skirt would fit, the next day it wouldn't. And I was convincing myself that whenever I put food in my body, I would gain weight, and then I would be disgusting, then I would be not wanted, then I would be still, not good enough. If my family or certain people in my family couldn't accept myself the way I was, then how was anybody else going to accept me? Oh, and then that spirals into obviously the whole not good enoughness, and just the whole people pleasing. Please validate me, please love me, please want me in your life, please don't leave me. I've already had abandonment issues from things that happened when I was growing up, which was no fault of anybody's. Just circumstances where I had to kept being left. But I would look at myself in the mirror, and my clothes were probably, I don't know, let's say, for example, a UK size 8. I would see myself as like, just huge. That's what I would see. I ruined so many incredible things with my ex-husband because I would suddenly then just not want to go out. Or I'd cancel things last minute. Or if I was asked out for dinner with friends, I'd be like, what are the healthy options? And I wouldn't want to really eat or anything. I just hated it. Food and I had a really, really, really bad relationship. And I have done videos on how I changed my appearance, but I don't think I've done it as this in depth before. So you can always have a look in my video library and just type in change of body appearance or something, and it will come up. But I wanted to share this video really for anybody that is struggling, really struggling with how they look and accepting themselves, because it can destroy you. It can just be all encompassing. It can take over your whole entire world, and it can stop you. Well, it does. It stops you from living the life that you deserve. I mean, I remember, even in my early 30s, I remember, I was teaching loads of exercise classes, and if I was teaching an exercise class and I felt really, really overweight, I would hide my body as much as I could in big baggy t-shirts. I felt so unconfident. I was constantly weighing myself. I had weighing scales. I would constantly weigh myself, constantly be on the scales. God knows how many times a day. It was so self-destructive. And then if the scales went up slightly, I would beat myself up about that. Oh, it felt like it was never ending. And it really did feel like it was never going to end. That's how it felt. It felt like this was it. This is how I was going to be. I was always going to be somebody that couldn't stand herself, couldn't stand the way that I looked, my body, everything was just dreadful. Just the thoughts that I used to have about myself. Sometimes I'd even feel like I wanted to just rip my stomach open to get the food out of me if I couldn't purge it out. To that extent, it was so bad, so bad. I remember, this was in my early 30s, and I remember a weekend. It was the Easter bank holiday weekend in the UK, and I remember teaching an exercise class. It was on the Thursday evening, and weighing myself, and I put on 2 kilos. My God, it was like I just didn't want to. Not didn't want to be here, but I didn't want anybody to see me because I felt disgusting. I felt so incredibly disgusting. That whole weekend, I didn't see anybody. I worked out like you wouldn't believe. I was doing 10K runs every day. I was like, no, I'm going to lose that 2K. I'm going to lose that 2K. I'm going to lose that 2K. And basically starved myself through it, isolating myself. I kind of locked myself away from the world for 4 days just because of what the scale said. And it's learning that a number does not define you. It doesn't. And I can't remember now the last time I weighed myself, and I won't weigh myself. I won't. And if I have to, like from a, if I was going to the hospital for a doctor reason for my health, then I would have to specifically say, you don't tell me how much I weigh, because that number does not define who I am now. But then it meant everything. I had to be a particular weight. I had to be a particular size. I had to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I had to. Because my belief was that if I didn't, no one would want me. No one would love me. And then it became a trigger. There are certain foods that I would never eat, and I still wouldn't eat those certain foods today, to be honest, but they're really unhealthy anyway. But there were certain foods that, I wouldn't eat, but there were certain things that might happen, or somebody might say something to me that was really negative. And obviously, if you know my story and you've listened to these videos, massive triggers for me: not feeling good enough, not feeling lovable, not feeling wanted, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling anything enough, nothing. And probably didn't help that when I was at school, actually, my best friend at the time, lovely girl, was the prettiest girl in school, and she went out with the prettiest boy in school. And I'll never forget actually going to lie on my mum's bed, crying. And this is all after that one comment from that family member about me being a fat cow. And all of this kind of happened. Oh, obviously I already had the not good enoughness feeling within, not wanting to be me and wanting to be anybody but me. And I remember crying on my mum's bed while she was in bed and just saying, why couldn't I have been born pretty? Why couldn't I have been born thin? Why couldn't I be thin? I couldn't understand why I wasn't one of the lucky ones. And which I'm probably thinking, wow, look at you with all your posts and your bikinis and things like that now. How did I get there? From such a destructive eating disorder, from such destructive negative thoughts. When I say I used to be extremely negative, it was, and I didn't know that there was a difference between my program and my subconscious. I didn't know that. I didn't know that then, obviously, otherwise I would have done something about it then. I truly believed that these thoughts were who I was. This is who I was. I didn't know that it was just a thought based on a program, based on an experience that happened outside of me, external from me. And I took on everybody's negative beliefs about me. I already had beliefs about me, but then took on all of their negative beliefs about me, experiences that happened, things where I wasn't included, where I was left out. Feeling just like a worthless piece of shit. Like, who would want me? Why would anybody want me? Disgusting. That's what I used to think. And worse. And I'm here on YouTube sharing this story with no makeup on. At the end of my amazing coaching day, helping people and realizing that, this is a subject that I really needed to talk about. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody out there needs to hear this. Somebody needs to know that they're not alone. But how did I mean, like, just thinking about my marriage, oh my God, totally. And I don't blame myself. I forgive myself. But the amount of experiences and things that I wouldn't do because I didn't feel good enough. And the stomach problems I would have, like forms of kind of like IBS and things. Obviously that was, for me, that was the stress that I was holding on to. And if you have not ever read it, but Louise Hay does a book called Heal Your Body. And it's the beliefs that we hold on to about ourselves that create the ailments within. And it could be, you've got IBS. It could be that you're holding on to the past traumas. It could be anything. you know, but you know, I haven't got the book with me, so I can't show you. But if you have a look on, you know, Amazon or somewhere, you'll be able to find is Heal Your Body by Louise Hay. And what she does in the book is she talks about a journey from healing from cancer, horrendous journey she went through, and through the power of releasing the old beliefs and embedding new positive beliefs about herself. Now that I say this, and I'm going to say this again and again and again, that doesn't mean that you don't get help. That doesn't mean that you don't go to the doctor. That doesn't mean that you don't go to the hospital. It doesn't mean that you don't listen to what these doctors are saying. Just saying that this is in her book, and the negative beliefs that she details through a variety of different ailments and back issues, she creates a positive, empowering belief. So you can release that old belief as well. It's like that's the medicine that you need. Now, like I said, I'm not saying here that you don't go to the doctors, you don't get the help that you need, you don't go to the hospital, you don't not do that, you know. But yeah, it's a very empowering book that, you know, we become what we tell ourselves we are. And we hold on to, when we hold on to such negative beliefs about ourselves, we are creating traumas within our bodies. And clearly, I had a lot of trauma within my body because I couldn't stand even looking at my body. But yet what's funny is that I used to look at myself a lot. And I remember my ex-husband used to say, sing that song, "You're so vain, you probably think the song is about you." But I don't think he really understood. Well, I think he had the impact of my eating problem. I don't think he really understood why I was looking at myself. It wasn't to like go, you know, check me out. It was like, am I okay? Do I look okay? Is this really who I am? It was just, yeah, I needed to keep looking at myself. Sounds really weird because I couldn't stand looking at myself, but yet when I was out and I'd see my reflection, I couldn't stop looking at myself either. And it was checking to see if I am okay. And whether that's going to resonate with somebody either. Like you can't stand looking at yourself, but then when you're seeing your reflection, you can't stop looking at yourself. Weird. I did go to an Overeaters Anonymous once, I think, with a friend years and years and years ago. And I remember just sitting there and crying, just crying. And then I remember I used to say to myself, well, I've had 2 days of not throwing up, or I've had 3 days of not throwing up, and then it would revert back. And it was constant that toing and throwing. And I might have a week or 2 weeks of doing really well. And then something would trigger me. And then I would go straight back to the overeating because I couldn't cope with the thoughts. I didn't want to feel the thoughts. I didn't want to listen to what was going on in here. And so then when I was eating, I was distracting myself. You know, some people might do this with the form of exercise. And that was another thing. You know, I beat myself up stupidly exercising. Obviously, I was a gym instructor. I was an exercise instructor. But on top of that, I wouldn't even think that the exercise that I was doing in the classes was a form of exercise. I convinced myself that I still needed to do my own exercise because that wasn't proper exercise. Yet I was teaching spinning classes like 6 to 8 times a week or even more. I was, you know, teaching weights classes a few times a week, things like that. But yet I was still running up to 30 miles a week. Still, I had to go out running, had to burn the calories, had to, you know. And I would go out running to burn the calories so then I could go out and eat. I used to really beat myself up physically and emotionally. And probably destroyed quite a lot of relationships that way too in the past. And people wouldn't understand if I suddenly had to cancel because I just couldn't stand the thought of somebody seeing me. I didn't want to be looked at. I could barely look at myself, which I know kind of I said it like contradicts the looking at my reflection if I was out. But, you know, that's how it was. I'm just being honest for me. But I don't label myself as being somebody has an eating problem, but I'm very aware of how I need to feel every day for it to not rear its ugly head. And so the Overeaters Anonymous, I went there once or twice, I think once, and I didn't get any further help with this really. So what did help me? Obviously, there was going to be a good part to this video. And this doesn't mean that you shouldn't get help, by the way. And if you need the help with food, then please, there's so many people out there that can help you. But what I unconsciously started to do was to shed people that were toxic out of my life. And that was kind of the part of the process. Another part of the process was I just have to move from the sun a little bit. It's too hot on my skin. So yeah, I've lost my thread now. I started to shed people from my life. And whilst it didn't feel good, I knew that I needed to do that. And actually, I recall, you know, my uncle, like calling me fat. Move your fat ass, Nat. Just felt like sometimes in my life, like everywhere I fucking went, I was constantly being put down. And now we obviously know why. Because that was my program. But I was everywhere I went, and as a little girl, it was horrible. I felt so lost and so, yeah, just lost. Why was it others seem to, have it so easy with the way that they looked and their bodies, and I struggled so much for most of my life. So I started to let go of toxic people, and I remember, can't remember what year it was, 2013, a guy that I was going out with just dumped me. I'd reacted to something that he'd said, and he dumped me. And I was in an absolute state. Obviously, that was the abandonment issues and being left and not wanted and not good enough. And I've got to make this right. I've got to fix it. And I remember being in a real state, proper state. I used to get into such states because obviously I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And I was looking for somebody else to fill up that cup. And then when that cup then became slightly empty, the pains came back massively, like huge triggers. And again, I didn't know what that was. But I remember in 2013, so a guy had walked away from me and I was not in the best place and I couldn't really eat. I was so distraught, just so incredibly distraught, ridiculous to the level. It was ridiculous. We'd only been going out a couple of months, a few months, if that. Absolutely ridiculous how strong my triggers were and how much loving and healing I needed to do on myself then. And I just didn't know it, didn't understand what was going on. Couldn't work out how other people bounce back from relationships so quickly. And yeah, so I had a couple of girls over one evening and I had lost a lot of weight. And I couldn't see that I'd lost a lot of weight because I still had very, very strong, bad, negative body issues and problems with food still. But I had lost a lot of weight, so I just couldn't eat. I was in too much of a state. And anything I did eat would just burn off from all the stress and the anxiety that I was holding on to. And so I had them over and I said, oh, let's just do some cake and tea or something. So I got some cake and tea, and I remember just sitting there, and I had a bandeau top on and just some shorts. And out of the blue, one of the girls said, no word of a lie, he said, I can't cope with this any longer. And I looked at her and I was like, what? And she was a really, really, really good friend of mine at the time. She said, you look disgusting. I need to ask you to go and put a jumper on. You look so disgusting. You look so skinny. I need to ask you to go and put a jumper on. I can't bear to look at you. From being knocked down to being knocked down, I can't tell you. Like, I was just barely being able to kind of function. And then I had that. And I still held on to her probably for about another year. And then I realized she was just using me. So I let her go. Girl power. But like I said, the knocks came from everywhere. I couldn't escape it. And whenever I felt safe with somebody, boom. And actually, I just had a client session with somebody that actually felt the same. Whenever she let somebody in, they would literally turn toxic on her. Obviously, we know that that's down to limiting beliefs, and that's what we're working through. She's doing my 5-week transformation program. She's doing so well. She's doing so well. And it's not always easy. I'm so proud of her. But yeah, it was like I couldn't trust anybody. You know, and then I'd have people say to me, oh, you know, and these are people that are really overweight, criticizing me. Or you should maybe don't wear those jeans, wear these jeans, you look better in those jeans. Or maybe you should wear your hair like this, or do, oh my God, honestly. Fucking horrendous. How did I go from that to being able to post confidently pictures of me and my body, not giving a shit what other people think? Never think if I could ever be that person that could do that. Well, one, because I don't care what other people think. And two, I fell in love with myself and my body. And it started probably in 2016, and it didn't happen quickly, but it can happen quickly. When you do a self-love practice, it can happen a lot quicker. But obviously, I didn't have me then with the knowledge that I have now, which I share with you all, to fall in love with yourselves and why it's so important to love yourself. If you don't, how the hell can you expect anybody to love you? I really hope that wind isn't going to take my voice away. In 2016, I went on a yoga retreat, and it was a vegan yoga retreat. And I just remember saying to myself, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to eat what I can. I'm not going to beat myself up. And I'll just deal with the consequences when I get home. And when I did get home, and this is when I was still weighing myself, I had actually lost weight. I was eating and I lost weight. And I wasn't beating myself up with exercise. Yes, I was doing yoga every day, but I wasn't, you know, beating myself up doing like 10K runs, 15-mile runs or anything like that. And I was actually eating sensibly, really good, nutritious food. So when I came back from that retreat, and it was only for a few days, but when I came back, I started to eat a lot better. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it was getting better. And I'll never say that I'm like perfectly healed. I know you're going to say this is an assumption. I don't talk about being perfectly healed. I take one day at a time, just one day at a time. But over this period of the years, I would have peaks and troughs with the eating problems. But what I realized is the more I released the negativity within me, the more I release negative energy around me and outside of me, the easier it got for me to fall in love with myself and to accept myself fully. The less exercise I felt I needed to do. In fact, I do less exercise now than I've ever done since 1998. That's when I first started exercising. I do less exercise now than I've ever done, and my body has never been in better shape. And yeah, I eat super healthy most of the time, but I still allow myself to, like, you know, if I'm going out for dinner and I want burger and chips, I'm going to have burger and chips. If I want that pizza, I'm going to have that pizza, you know. But I do have a very, very good healthy diet. But for me, it makes me feel good to eat really healthily. So I like to eat a lot of fish, chicken, vegetables, broccoli. You know, that's kind of my go-to. Eggs. That's what my go-to is now. And I have that like consistently. And like I said, if I'm going out for dinner, I'm going to eat what I want to eat and I'm going to enjoy it and I don't care. And I don't have those negative beliefs when I wake up thinking I'm disgusting, I'm horrible, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough because I've eaten. Because I fell in love with myself. And it was a process. It was a process. This wasn't something that happened to me overnight. It was a process. I fell in love with myself, speaking that to myself. So I spoke it in with affirmations, with positive statements. Like I said, I let go of what was no longer serving me, and that was over a period of time. I recognize red flags very, very, very quickly now, a lot quicker than I've ever done. I don't hold on to for very long what I don't like in my life. And yeah, whilst you can obviously revise people, you can do that. That's a choice. Mostly I choose not to. That's my choice. But I choose me. I prioritize me and how I feel. And if there are people in my life that aren't making me feel great, I will let them go and I will learn the lesson and I'll focus that energy onto me rather than focus on revising them. But bit by bit, year by year, day by day, I fell in love with myself, which therefore meant that I fully accepted myself, you know, and I accepted my body and I let go of the need of it having to be such a particular way. I let go of the need of needing people's validations because I was validating myself now through my self-love journey, through healing, through releasing the traumas that I experienced in my life. You know, I invest in myself. I invest in my skin. I invest in my hair. I do. I've got a treatment in my hair at the moment, guys. That's why it's all a bit beachy-fied. You know, I invest in clothes. I invest in how I look because I am worthy of that. You know, and there were times where I wouldn't even invest in getting my nails done because I didn't think I was worthy of it. You know, I will invest in massages. I invest in having a really good skin specialist to help me with my skin. You know, I invest in good products. And these products that I've got don't cost the earth. You know, so it's not like I'm buying like really expensive products now, but I've got the right products. I invest in me. I look after me. I look after my appearance. I look after my body with what I put in my body, the foods that I put in my body, because I'm worthy of that. I'm worthy of investing in my appearance. And when I invest in my appearance, I'm saying that I love myself. I'm saying that, you know, it's okay to invest in me and my body. When I exercise now, I might do like today, I did a HIIT session for like 20 minutes. I follow a guy called, it's called Intense, a guy called Duncan, and his yoga channel is called Yoga, which means Heart of Vinyasa. And he has a beautiful online classes, which I love to do. Or I might do the body coach. Joe Wick's the body coach. He's got the body coach TV on YouTube. I might do a bit of that. I might do the odd run. I think I ran maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm out here doing stand-up paddleboarding. You know, that's a work in itself, especially when the waves are bumpy. You know, it's a lot of core work, leg strength work, and arm work. You know, I do things that are good for me. I don't punish myself anymore either. But that was a process of me falling in love with myself, accepting my body. So whilst I didn't get specific therapy for it, I was my own therapist by healing within. And, you know, the reason why I do my self-love practice every day and I mix it up whilst I can, I have breaks from it too. So because my mind is under control 99% of the time, and I can bring it back quickly if it starts to like slip. I'll give myself a break from doing my normal routine when I feel like I need to give myself a break from it. But then I'll bring it back when I'm ready to, you know, for whatever it is I'm wanting to manifest. Or like I said, my self-love, my mental diet. If I want to feel like, oh, I need a pick me up or something, I literally go back to that. And that's all I do. And that's how falling in love with yourself, and I talk about this so much, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is. How when you do that, you don't care about what other people think. You don't care. You just don't care. If they like it, great. If they don't, great. Because if they don't, you're creating space for the right ones to come in. And when you're in a place of loving yourself and accepting your body fully, and you're looking after yourself through self-care, you know, having good night's sleep, you know, gentle exercise, maybe some intense exercise, but mixing it up. You're not punishing yourself. You're eating well, you're looking after your skin, looking after your hair, looking after your, you know, your teeth and things. Maybe treating yourself to getting your nails done, having those bubble baths, having massages occasionally if you can, and, you know, doing your toenails on your own, or you paying to get them done, whatever. When you are looking after your body, you're saying that I am worthy of this and I deserve to invest in myself. And it's such a beautiful thing to do. And I love looking after myself. I love investing in myself. I love it. I love it so much. I love presenting myself in such a beautiful way. I love wearing beautiful clothes, and some of the clothes I get most complimented on are like super cheap. They're not even that expensive. And obviously some of my clothes are now expensive, but, you know, I mix it up. You know, it's what I feel good in fundamentally. It's what makes you feel good. I do what makes me feel good, and that creates an inner high vibration within me that then attracts better opportunities, high vibrational opportunities to me, high vibrational people to me. I don't have anybody in my life that is low vibration because I'm not low vibration, so I can't attract that. And if they did try to come in, they would leave very quickly because it just wouldn't serve me. So when you fall in love with yourself and you fall in love with looking after yourself too, and you're showing to the universe that you are worthy of investing in, you are worthy of eating well, you are worthy of loving yourself, you are worthy of doing your self-love practice, your whole life does transform. I mean, you know, I'm working in Ibiza. Again, I'm living my dream. You know, I'm doing things and having experiences out here that I have manifested doing because I believe in the process. I believe in me. I believe in doing fun things. I believe in having a fun, playful attitude, a fun, playful mind, you see. But as you know, it wasn't always like that. So if you are in a place, I'm sure I could talk about this till the cows come home, really. I'm just going to move this around because it's catching me. But if you are in a place where you really can't stand looking at yourself, or you feel like you've got the body dysmorphia, or you do have an eating problem, like I said, there are so many people out there that can help you. And, you know, and you can heal from it. And in my perspective, it was through a self-love practice, a self-love journey that wasn't linear. And it's not as quick as I see a lot of my clients now transform because they've got the tools. I didn't have the tools. I was kind of winging it, doing a lot of self-study, isolating myself so I could heal, so I could understand what was happening. So I want you to know that if you are struggling with your body, that it is possible to heal. If you're struggling with an eating disorder, it is possible to heal from it. And the more you fall in love with yourself, the more you accept your body as it is right now, just accept it. This is what it is. The more you let go of the need of it to be a particular way or to be a particular number on the scale, the more you let go of that and you just fall in love with yourself and you accept yourself, you detach from the need of it. Therefore, it will effortlessly change in the way that you want it to. It really will. The more you fight for it, the more you hold on to it being a particular way, the harder it's going to be. And when you're in this high vibrational energy of knowing your worth, of being confident in your own skin, confident from your core, radiating confidence, when you're in this place of loving who you are and accepting yourself fully, you want to look after yourself. You want to have these positive thoughts about yourself. But what happens is your dreams and your desires, your creativity just flow so effortlessly towards you, that you don't really have to effort at anything anymore because you're attracting it based on your inner vibration, you see. And that inner vibration is love, it's abundance. And if you believe that you are, have been created in the version of God, therefore, why would you want to deny yourself of any of these experiences of love, of abundance? You wouldn't. So, self-love, accepting. And no, it might not be where you want it to be right now, but when you fully accept where you are right now and you can breathe again, things will happen. Things will naturally just start to transform. But like I said, if you do need that help, then please get it. Get that help. And like I said, my self-love workshop, my self-love practices, all of my programs are all designed for you to fully show up in your true authentic self, loving and embracing yourself fully. So there you go. I really hope you've enjoyed this today, guys. I haven't done one of these for a while, actually. But I really felt pulled to do this one about body and food and kind of what I did. The happier you become too. It really is amazing. So if you haven't started that journey, maybe it's time to think about it. Maybe, if you're ready. But only you can do this when you're ready, not because somebody's telling you to. Okay? All right, sending you so much love. And I will be back very, very soon. So much love to you guys. And please, yes, comment below. Comment below, like this video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, but please comment below your thoughts. And if you've been somebody like me that has come out the other end, but maintains that healthy mindset through your self-love practice, please share that below as well to inspire others to do the same. Because we are all so worthy of loving ourselves. We're also deserving of falling in love with ourselves and seeing ourselves the way we want to see ourselves, which is kind of perfectly imperfect, just as we are. Anyway, that's it, guys. Take care, and I'll be back very, very soon.